Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick, Sammy McKee with you for the next 2 hours. Plenty to get into locally, not locally.
Come on, locally.
Around the National Hockey League. We'll get into great detail on the Leafs winning a wild game, rallying from 2 goals down to beat the Florida Panthers 5-4 in overtime. Gord Stellick will be by in about 45 minutes to get into that as well. And in the second hour, Rick Bowness, head coach of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
One of the leaders in the Western Conference, Winnipeg Jets. I didn't think I'd be saying this middle of January.
You know, it's really nice to talk to the head coach of NHL teams. It's just such a delight. Really, really appreciate their PR staff for giving us him.
Before we get into all of that, let's lead with the Philadelphia
Coach is going to keep
Flyers.
his mouth shut.
Let's lead with the Philadelphia Flyers beating the Anaheim Ducks.
Is that a big story for you?
Well, what's a big story
I know.
around the league, if not worldwide, is not so much what happened during the game, but before the game.
Yeah.
In which the Philadelphia Flyers defenseman Ivan Provorov refused to participate in his team's Pride Night.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't warm up with them based on the fact that he would have to wear a different jersey, the one that supports.
The numbers had rainbow colors on them.
And this is caught like wildfire for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
JB, the National Hockey League, in response, came out with a statement today. Let's start with that statement.
Hockey is for Everyone is the umbrella initiative under which the league encourages clubs to celebrate the diversity that exists in their respective markets and to work to achieve more welcoming and inclusive environments for all fans. Clubs decide whom to celebrate, when and how, with league counsel and support. Players are free to decide which initiatives to support, and we continue to encourage their voices and perspectives on social and cultural issues.
Well, let's start there.
Sure.
Are you happy with that response? Is that the response that people were expecting today? Or, because I got to be honest with you, man, you start hearing all the buzzwords around it through social media. Some people opinionated, no matter where you are on this. But there was some talks that they wanted him suspended. They wanted a $1 million fine on the team. We are down to basically players are free to decide which initiatives they want to support.
Are you happy with it?
I don't think they had much choice.
Yeah.
It's the one that I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that,
Yeah.
You run into a lot of issues.
Yeah. I would say that my feeling on this doesn't necessarily involve the NHL as a larger entity as much. I do feel like this is, it's lawyered up, protect themselves from any sort of legal issue, separate themselves from, it's just such a half measure to me. If hockey is for everyone, then, doing nothing about it here doesn't look good, but I don't think they can do anything about it, or you're forcing people into doing things you don't want to. And
that's why there wasn't anything else but the freedom of choice to decide.
Right.
And we are, to your point, talking about very strong employment laws.
Right.
That talk about religious beliefs and how they can protect somebody
right. So
working.
Before this, we get into this to an extent where it feels like protecting Provorov or the NHL or the Flyers. I wrote about this, should be coming out on Sportsnet later today. All of these things, the league protecting themselves, the team saying, we're not going to force a guy to do a thing he doesn't want to do, does not insulate the player from us forming our opinions about the person.
We've been doing that for 1,000 years.
Right.
And that will continue for 1,000 more years.
Correct. The court of public opinion, which is what we are doing here in live radio, I think he's a dingus. I think he's a selfish, self-centered,
Yeah.
short-sighted,
Sure.
close-minded, small individual.
Yes.
I
And
do.
and
I do.
everybody's forming their opinion.
Right.
But that's no different than that we've like I've said, that's been going on for thousands of years.
Right.
But we get to see it a little bit more prominent on social media now.
Oh, yeah.
Before it was like closed doors and you
Yeah.
can get your little groups and you can rip on people
What do you think?
all you want all
Yeah.
day long. But this one for me, first of all, you were waiting for the NHL to respond.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've heard anything from the Players Association
I think
as well.
I think part of the NHL's response and the Flyers' response is such that you don't need the Players Association to weigh in.
No, I disagree. That's your player. And I would think that they would come out and support Provorov.
Right. But
He's a paying member. That's your
but there's
guy.
nothing for the NHL to speak up against. He didn't have to do anything.
Well, don't you think
They didn't make him do it.
Don't you think part of the cautious statement that they put out probably has to do with the Players Association and not wanting to ruffle feathers with them? It's like, I don't think this is as strongly worded as it potentially could have been.
For sure.
But I'm sure they're probably worried about the Players Association and what they would think of them putting out because it's a slippery slope. It's a dangerous precedent, right? So
Well, and does it force the NHL now to kind of relook and really understand that if we continue to move forward, whatever sensitive topic or issue that we want to get in front of our fan base, we aren't going to have all 800 players possibly agree.
Right. So I think you're bringing up a good point here about pre-game jerseys and having them all, like, for example, military. I think the military pays in a lot of these places for military
Okay.
nights, right? That's part
Yeah.
of it. It's not impossible that of 800 players, there's a couple guys who don't support the military.
Or doesn't
They're pacifists or whatever.
don't support war.
Correct. And so they'd say, I don't, so you are,
Is that okay?
would that be okay?
Yes.
I think it'd be the same as Provorov, where you say you're free to make that decision. We are free to judge you based on that decision. And, for the NHL, teams will say, I don't know if we want a guy like that in our organization. And if they feel strongly about the military, that may affect them negatively or positively. If you feel strongly about including people and creating a welcoming environment
Yeah.
and supporting your teammates, maybe you look at Provorov and say, we don't want that guy.
I think I look at the way we acted as guys in my era, and we were like sheep. We just followed.
Mhm.
You walk in, you see a jersey they want you to wear, you wear
Sure.
it,
Not that hard.
right?
Right.
They're not cheap anymore. They know.
That's good.
They know that they don't have to follow anymore. And I'm just wondering now, does it get the NHL to sit there and just not assume that everybody's on board? And I don't know how this played out in Philadelphia, whether or not Provorov knew, or did he just walk in the room, see a jersey on, and was there the assumption that he would just put it on and follow the herd? Or
Mhm.
did they take their time and say, boys, this is what we want to do. Are you okay with that? How do you feel about that?
Right.
Are we all in this together? Are we going to have 8 guys wear jersey and 12 not? Are we going to be 17-3? Like, let's talk about this. I really got the feeling last night, and we watched John Tortorella address it
Mm-hmm.
in the PR, that this thing blew up in their face.
It did blow up in their face.
And
So I personally don't care whether he was presented with it 10 seconds before warm-up or 10 days, because the statement he is making about the people who are welcoming, the Flyers are saying we're welcoming them and including them in hockey.
See,
It doesn't take me...
I disagree with you.
See, does it take you a long
doesn't.
time if I say, do you like this group of people, whether it's a race or whatever? Does it take you time to really consider it and weigh that one out?
I'll tell you exactly what you need to weigh out is the ramifications and the consequences of saying yes or no on both sides, the Philadelphia Flyers and Provorov.
Mhm.
Because if you don't, you're just, hey, do you believe in this or don't believe in it? And that's it. End of story. No. It runs deeper to the point where Provorov, they've been trying to trade for over a year. Okay? He is considered a top defenseman still.
Right.
He's in the wheelhouse of being mid-20s.
26.
Makes
Sure.
$6 million.
Shocker, guys don't seem to like him a lot, according to reports from within the team.
You have an asset.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? You woke up today, you have
don't.
no asset. He is damaged goods.
Okay.
There isn't a team that would touch him with a 10-foot pole.
We're
right
talking
now.
about different things, you and I. So to your point, you should figure out what the guys are going to do so you know if you want to move ahead with this from a business perspective.
Correct.
Rather than a social perspective.
Hey, listen,
That's a great point.
You're paid a lot of money, man. You have a business here.
Yeah.
Your responsibility is to protect assets.
I wonder.
The Flyers just completely hung themselves out to dry on this one because they didn't think about it, because they weren't prepared.
Right.
I had heard that they were so pissed, and this is just what I'm hearing out of the building last night. They were so pissed that they told Provorov, "You go and tell everybody why you didn't go out on the ice."
Yeah,
and
well,
that's
they
why,
should.
and that's why Tortorella said, "I'll do it."
Yeah. Well, the question then, so let's say they do it from a business perspective and they say, okay, Provorov doesn't want to go out there because he doesn't like gay people. Well, then are you going to cancel Pride Night to protect the asset? I don't think so. So do you then have a deadline where you have to trade him before? Do you move Pride Night?
Again, at least you give yourself a chance to understand that you may go to Provorov and say, here's the consequences, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You, by saying you don't want to do this, could isolate our community and could isolate every other team.
Fair.
Do you understand that this could be a career decision?
Right. So
Okay?
I see your point about giving him days to really say, hey.
Do you understand here of
Mhm.
what's at stake for you? Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
Good point.
you want to go down that path? Then you are welcome to go there. That is your right.
Yeah.
But if it gets really ugly here and I can't even use you and 31 other teams, then stay home and I guess we'll pay you. But
Yeah.
I can't use you anymore.
It's a turning point moment for
It's
sure.
a turning point moment. And say what you will about, you're not in the political belief business. You are in winning Stanley Cups, making money for your owner business first.
That second one for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And to watch this unfold the way it did and not thoroughly go through this on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And again, at least if you would have addressed it with each and every player to make their decision and give them ample time to understand the consequences of a yes or a no to participate, I don't think that's what happened last night.
Yeah, there are no consequences of the yes to participate, but the no is pretty substantial, isn't that? Like Provorov's life is different today, justifiably so. So yeah, the organization has their hands full about how to deal with it going forward now with him, whether they will speak out more strongly or take action. Otherwise, all the platitudes and the...
And in the sense is this was more of a Philadelphia Flyer night than it was a league night. But it really, I think, forces everybody to revisit and really, really present to the players, where you are in certain things. This is where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you?
Yeah.
And you better be crystal clear what side you want to be on. So we know, and the whole world will judge as we know they have for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is.
I did have in my group chat with some guys, they were like, did the NHL not think that among 700 and some skaters, someone would not want to wear a jersey of a number of these things? You mentioned it's Pride Night or Military Night or all the different things.
And this one, I don't know how much more you guys have on it, but like him with the religious stuff, that's okay. But, I know a ton of people who are really religious people who are super open-minded and, towards gay people and towards whatever community and that sort of thing.
You can't go there, Sammy.
I'm just saying, like,
I know.
It's
But
for him
the
to say.
team, once someone says religious, you're right. It's another employment level of Provorov lives with his girlfriend. He's clearly not like hardcore Orthodox.
That's what I mean. Anyways, it's just like, him kind of putting that out there.
The
too, as a
law is the
reason.
law.
I don't know.
Right. I get that. I understand that element of it that the team has to consider, that you can't just say, do it, and again, someone's religious beliefs or whatever. But again, it doesn't prevent people from forming opinions based on the beliefs you've chosen.
Okay.
Okay?
All good.
Okay.
My end.
Okay.
Want to move on?
Let's segue into what maybe I thought was the worst officiated game I've seen in 20 years.
Wow. Bold.
Awful.
You hated it too, eh?
Horrific.
And I'm not the guy who rips on officials.
That is a
I'm not
fact.
the guy.
You're not.
I don't sit
we
here.
spend no time on refs here.
Sometimes I
You
rip
are
on
the
them.
officials guy.
Sometimes I rip on them. Here and there.
I don't.
Officiating.
Okay. All right. Are we going to stay on it? Because I'm going to call an audible here, and we're not going to Sheldon Keefe for
Whoa.
our first Kyper's Clipper, but Paul Maurice on his overview of what he saw last night.
Well, there'll always be penalties that you take in your game you earn. There's a whole bunch you're not going to like at all. I thought we had the inordinate share of those. Hard to describe the call. Usually, at least they have enough there to argue. Come over and say, yeah, the stick got up, or the Radko Gudas hits as clean a hit as you can level, stick on stick, body on body. Not a charge. They're both going in the same direction. No problem with the guy going to the net at all. That's hockey. But I don't know what the hell those guys were doing tonight, but it wasn't Florida Panther friendly.
I don't know what the hell those guys were doing tonight. That's a fine.
No, it's not.
No?
The officials are so bad that Paul Maurice
Has some grace here.
he gets a green light.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that can
Yeah.
be true. That they can be so bad that they're legally,
Yes.
oh, he had a point.
Yeah. No. He's got a point.
Yeah.
He's got a point.
How if you are who's the officiating, the boss of the officiating the NHL, the refs?
Walk him.
How are you walking? How are you walking?
Christopher Walken?
How are you watching that game back, and you see them put a man in the penalty box, go over there, have a conversation, pull him out, and put the other guy in the penalty box
And
that he was
still get
battling,
it wrong.
and still get the wrong guy? How do you watch that as a boss and be like, yeah, you know what? I think Paul Maurice is way off with his comments here. He was bang on. They were horrible.
That's such a bad look, eh?
That was embarrassing, that one.
That one was embarrassing.
I mean,
They had tough nights.
And it was
Engvall-
Engvall should have got a penalty.
Engvall shot the stick back to the
If-
goalie.
if you think-
and
Yeah.
their guy, was it Bennett, also hit the stick.
Bennett's was not a penalty.
Yeah. I mean, but he did move the stick. I
He-
agree.
He did.
I
He
agree.
did move it, but there was no
Not like he was directing it towards or
a player
away.
with
He
a
just
puck
sort of like,
or
yeah.
Anybody tripped on it. Even if someone pushes
Someone's
it
like
and
moving it
trips
so he didn't step on it, if anything.
But you can't shovel a stick to a goalie with your stick
And Lilligren's like,
and then put Lilligren in there.
him, me, you, her, him, her.
The Gudas hit a charge on
While defending a Russian
Aston
player.
Reese.
Yeah.
If that's a legitimate call, I'm never covering hockey ever again.
Kif's doing pickleball, covering
Never.
Doug in
I'm
Florida.
Doug McLean on pickleball and brown socks with sandals.
Yeah.
That's my life.
Maurice is miserable, too.
Well, stick. I mean, he nailed it in that clip. The guy's got the puck in his stick. He's going towards the net.
How do you charge a guy you're chasing?
Makes
with the puck?
shoulder to shoulder contact, separates the man from the puck. That's kind of the point of the game, isn't it?
It's been amateur hour at its best.
Okay. Let's do all the Maurice clips.
Okay, are we done with ripping on the officials?
No.
No.
They're all on the officials.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go.
Give us the overview, whichever one.
Yeah.
You know what? Proud of our guys here tonight. Like, they flew us out to the West Coast, flew us back, flew us home, flew us up here and back to back us, and then they threw those two guys at us. I thought we hung in there pretty good. I am proud of our group.
Then they throw those two guys at us, and then play the third clip if we can.
What's your message in a game like that? So many penalties in the first two periods, and then the whistles seem to go away a little bit.
No.
What's your advice to your players?
No, I just explained to them. It had nothing to do with my players. It had to do with me and a relationship that I have with one of the referees. That's what that was all about. So just go out, keep your mouth shut, and play the game.
That's a Paul Maurice Joker laugh, like an unhinged.
Who was the other coach earlier in the year that suggested that it's a Toronto thing? Was that Daryl Sutter?
Yeah.
Was Sutter, yeah.
Yeah. So now it's Sutter and Paul Maurice.
Maurice, by the way, got thrown out of a game by Saint Laurent. Is it Francois Saint Laurent in 2016? And when asked about Saint Laurent laughing at him as he threw him out, he said, "Well, I think that's consistent with that official's demeanor."
You're not suggesting that last night had anything to do with that, like a personal vendetta.
Maurice did. Maurice said,
I know, but how about you?
No. I think it's just a bad official.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad
There's no way
night.
it's like I'm gonna go get Paul Maurice from that thing 6
Well,
years ago.
I'm gonna put my career in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And my reputation in jeopardy so I can make him look bad. Never. No one would ever do that.
But how?
No.
I just think of a couple Tim Peel moments over the years that maybe.
That's fine, but that's gray, and you can hide it, and you can mask it. Those
no
are just
direct calls.
Those are just so horrific calls.
Yeah.
That's all that people look at.
Yeah.
Can I ask how the hell does it not play into it? Like if you hate a guy, you hate a guy.
Well,
But you're trying to call the game and do your job.
But if you're an official,
it's
and
not that
well, it seems like there's something there.
You're not putting your livelihood on the line for personal reasons.
Of course not. But you're a human being.
Yes.
You have natural means.
Well, bunting.
You have natural biases.
Bunting.
Bingo.
Okay? Not getting calls because they think that he plays them. And that's okay.
Wrong.
That's human. Right?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't necessarily be one guy, by the way. Sammy, these guys are a team. They talk to each other. They scout for each other. This is when you talk about guys that have reputations for diving or embellishing, that's not one guy. That's the league forming an opinion on a guy that cannot be trusted.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just think that if he's saying this stuff, they had a prior moment. He's probably coached a million games that he's reffed in. There's something there.
But since then, surely they've worked through this, right? Like they've had.
Well, it doesn't seem like they have.
It is funny.
Hated the interference call on Marner too at the blue line. Like I get there's interference in guys, but they just collided.
Yeah.
Well, they had to call it because it was 3 in a row to the Leafs, so they couldn't give the next one, and then it was borderline. So game management.
I am not allowed to talk about if referee calls the rest of the year. I just
exhausted it.
I just threw up all over this table. I am not that guy.
Oh, Sammy did ask
I
before the
pride
show.
myself on being not that guy.
And he said, "Do you think the officiating now is worse than it's ever been?" And I said no, and I think this comes up every year. Your thought?
There's some issues there for sure. They're trying hard. I think at times that they're fast tracking young players. There's a big issue here, guys, on officials. How many young kids want to get into them? How many can they groom that played the game, that can have a feel for the game? Mm-hmm. There's some issues going on here.
Is there any parallels here, fellas, between the lack of Canadian goaltending and the lack of good referees? Like, who would want to be a goalie? Who would want to be a ref in the social media era? Like, honestly,
yeah,
who would be a ref?
You're onto something there for sure.
I can't imagine going out there and make it like I'm sure they're well compensated or whatever, but you're on the road, everyone hates you all the time.
But they're not
no
like
escape.
Making $1 million.
No,
they're making a good salary, but geez.
Oh, it's a great life.
It is.
Get the summers off. So what? You get spat at a couple times. Big deal.
Going to every
Big
barn.
deal. You got your summers off.
He was hated by 20,000 people 80 times a year.
Every night. Just getting screamed at. Great. What a life.
Suck. We got any Keefe?
We got lots of Keefe. What do you want?
I don't know. What do you have?
Was that the weirdest game you've ever been a part of? He was asked after the game last night.
All right, let her rip.
The answer to that? Yeah.
We've had some odd moments. I don't know. There's a lot going on in the game for sure. I don't know that I put it at the top of the list necessarily, but certainly there's a lot going on in the game, and happy our guys stuck with it and found a way to get our points.
I would say where the goalie who was a Zamboni driver who was employed by the team went into a game and beat them. Maybe a little bit weirder.
That was a bit
maybe the game where they lost their captain 5 minutes into a game against the Montreal Canadiens in a playoff series. Maybe there's no fans in the building. Maybe that was a little weirder.
Yeah, I think you nailed the Sammy.
You only remember what you had for breakfast in the morning. Come on. An entertaining game.
Absolutely.
Good hockey game to watch.
Some passion, some emotion, which was fantastic.
I was gonna say, let's bring it back a little bit here. That was a good game for the Leafs last night.
It was not a good game.
Great game for the Leafs. Not just good.
No.
Great.
No.
Yes, really good.
No, it was a horrible game.
It was really good. Yes.
It was a fun game.
No, but it was important for the reason that you're gonna like is that they came together. They came together in a way. Aston Reese tried to punch Gudis.
Yes,
Michael Bunting tried to beat up a guy.
Okay, you've got me on that.
They had each other's back. They rallied.
Good parts to it, sure.
One of those mid-season games to me, you're like,
I'm with you. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
But if I'm watching that game,
it's not tight.
I'm watching that game. I'm watching two teams going nowhere fast.
No, it's not the Boston Bruins.
But it's okay. It's mid-January. And you can draw certain things from it, and I'm with you.
Yeah.
That I liked a different look out of the Leafs, right?
Hunt goes to the net and kicks one in. Willie's in the crease and headbutts one in.
Are we okay with just living that certain guys will just take 2-3 shots at Austin Matthews, and you just hope that somebody comes in?
This is the year you get 2 freebies. He gets mad in the third, and then Bunting jumps you after that.
We're just past that. Austin just can't turn around and throw a punch.
He did trip him.
It was a great trip. Got him right under the foot.
Total great, absolutely great trip.
You're right, though. It'd be nice to see him take his hand
forget
out
it,
of the
though.
stick
We're not focusing on that. What we're focusing on is how quickly Bunting got in there.
He did.
And it was what, Cousins?
Yeah. He's a real player.
So that was a nice look.
It was. I felt that there was an answer. And actually, Sheldon Keefe, I think we have a quote on that. Is there not? Is that part of the overview?
On the physicality?
Physicality? Sure.
Yeah. Played a physical game.
Let's do that one.
We had a lot of respect for their offense and how they were going to come at us. There's a lot of skill over there. They moved the puck very well. I think the physicality piece is something that I think that they probably turned up a notch or two tonight. And I thought our guys dealt with it well. That's whether it was the stuff during the play or stuff after whistles, whatever it is, that our guys handled that well. They also handled the emotions of all the penalties and the oddities of the game. We dealt with that well and just stayed with it. So, you never want to get behind like we did, but we look at the picture, or look at the game, big picture, and step back a little bit. Power play wasn't nearly good enough for us early in the game, yet gets us a huge game that ends up turning it, or a huge goal that ends up turning the game. And, I thought we had a really good third period.
We saw Gudis, I think, hip check Engvall, which I thought was a good hit.
Fine hit.
But the important thing is Austin Reese didn't like it.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Can I ask you, Kyper? We were talking about this a little bit on the post game last night. What are you thinking if you're Gudis' teammate there? When a non-tough guy, after you throw it, listen, I don't think it was dirty. I don't think it was a dirty hit, but it was borderline. Like it was greasy. He got really low on him.
Yeah.
And Zach Aston Reese, who's not a tough guy, challenges him. And I thought it was pretty embarrassing for Gudis. Like, I know they got the power play out of it.
Can I tell you before Kyper talks, I thought watching that last night, I thought today that Kyper would say he liked it from Gudis.
I hated it from Gudis.
And you are correct.
Am I?
Yes, you are.
How can you say?
I'll tell you why.
No, because if that was Giordano or anybody else in the Leafs, you'd be like, oh, he should have dropped him immediately. Come on.
Pie hole close.
Come on.
For a second here, okay? You're the Florida Panthers. You won the President's Trophy, and you are within whiskers of a huge embarrassment by missing the playoffs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're up 4-2 at that point, and you just drew him into a penalty. You make it 5-2, the game is over, okay? And you're fighting for your lives to get back into a playoff race. If you go up 5-2 and you start distancing yourself, then you're Mr. Gudis goes back to Austin Reese before the night is over and go,
now it's your time.
We've got some unfinished business here, buddy.
Yeah.
And where are you now?
Yeah. And also with Gudis, there's no doubt that he's a willing combatant, right? It's not like someone
Surprised me last night.
But I mean,
Well, like,
he's
this
not a
guy's-
guy. You want to go
he's-
call his
he's-
bluff?
well,
He'll show
he's
you the
Up
cards.
4-2,
He's running-
handing Barkov
Come
a
on.
power play.
He's running
Sammy.
around all night, acting like a dick, sticking people, nailing people, acting like this tough guy. And then one of those bottom 6 guys who's never dropped his gloves all year
Yeah.
except for once challenges him, and he goes down to a knee like that was embarrassing.
You're putting
embarrassing.
ego ahead of the team here, Sammy. In that instance,
I thought it was embarrassing.
I know.
That's all I
Well,
gotta
it's
say.
embarrassing that you lost the game and you never got a chance to go back to Aston Reese.
Yeah.
I get that.
The plan
But
would have
that's-
been. It's funny watching Gudis watch. They showed Gudis watching the replay, and Aston Reese misses with a wild one at one point. And all I could think was like, they're probably not done. Like Gudis is probably going to have something to say to him before it's over. But yeah, physical game.
Power play did save the night too.
2 for 6, he said.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. Sometimes it looks ugly. Sometimes they can't win a faceoff in the offensive zone. They start with a minute and a half on the clock. And then they give up another shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
Marner struggled in the first.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys
How
a
many
question?
shorties is too many before you say not every unit does that? Go ahead,
Two
Sam.
so far, right? That they've given?
2 or 3. Yeah, 2, I think.
So going into last night, since they went to the 5-forward power play, which I guess, I mean, they had that one game where they kind of put Riley out there. They've done it. But since it's mainly started on December 17th, what do you think that ranks in the NHL?
Where does their power play rank?
Since December, since they went to 5 on the
I'll
5.
Yeah,
be
but
honest,
where was it ranked since they went? When they
That's
started?
what I'm asking you. Where do you think it ranks since they went to 5?
Well, I don't know. By then it would have been
No, but like
11th, 12th in the league.
No. He means, but like if you started on that day, every
Yes.
team in the league from that day.
I bet you it's the same percentage as it was prior to
I
that.
feel the same way. No better, no worse.
No
like
better, no
mid-pack.
worse. So I don't know what it was.
They're 8th in the NHL since they've gone to the 5-man.
And what were
5-forward
they
unit.
before that? They were 9th or 10th anyways.
So there you go. It hasn't changed much.
But I will say there is this NHL.com sorts a net power play when you take away the goals you're giving up the other way, and it probably looks worse with you give up whether it's 2 or 3
Yeah.
shorties, right? I mean,
I think 2.
two shorties,
Two.
and then that's over.
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 games or whatever they've been trying it.
Their season
And that
av-
was just a
their season average is
you know-
24.8, and since they've gone to the 5-forward unit, it's 26.8.
Yeah.
So it's gone up 2%.
and Marner loses the puck at the blue line and then really takes a high risk last ditch attempt to throw the puck up the across the middle of the ice. You seldom make him see bad decisions.
No,
But
that's why he's there,
one
'cause
you
he makes good
probably
decisions.
you eat it on the wall and you don't give up a shorty there. But I mean,
If you have a D-man, they think of defensive things, but these guys are out there for a
you
reason.
can't even count on 3 fingers how many bad plays this guy's made all year.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to bury him for that one, but it is part of the risk of having a forward there instead of a D-man.
Should we talk about the goalie getting pulled?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, we need 3 shows worth of time today.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. And let's go to Sheldon on that decision.
I mean, when I break down the goals, obviously, like the shorthanded goal against, he makes the save on a breakaway, and there's not a lot he can do or anything he can do really on the second shot. The goal that I ended up pulling him on, it's a big time shot by Barkov. It's just more, for me, I'm more pulling the goaltender for our team. Like you just need to change something. You can't give up 4 goals on 8 shots, no matter how you shake it out. But that was really it. You look at the actual goals and all that. I don't know. I didn't see. I think any of the goals are too egregious or weak or anything like that. There's some traffic and things involved inside of each of those goals, but clearly we needed to change something. And Sammy went in and did a really good job. And we had a couple breakdowns, big saves, got the crowd into it, give the guys some life and reason to keep pushing, and we did.
He kind of says, I did it for the team. And then he said 4 and 8 shots. No. So,
Yeah.
but there is a real sense that he just wants to protect him so much.
Who has he done this with before? I feel like he has like guys. Was it Campbell
Freddie.
last year? Maybe?
Freddie a few years ago.
Yeah, like he has goalies he really hesitates to throw under the bus, which is fine.
Like,
This is
pull
his
a goalie. They're
It's
not
not the end of the world.
They're not like China dolls here.
No, they're players.
They're okay. They won't crack. They say he stunk.
Yeah.
And he needs to be better. It's okay. He's a pro. He can handle it.
There's a slap shot that came from the guy's stick, almost hit the wall on the backswing from the hash marks, and he beat him far side glove.
Didn't like the first one either. I know the ref gets in the way.
The high glove shot, yeah.
But like he's deep in the net. He does that sort of like.
Well,
I think he's just over.
it's like he's always about to smother a spider. He's like ready to cover it up.
You think of that right now.
Yeah, yes, it's like a downward facing
Wow,
claw.
Don't smut. It might rain tomorrow.
It's like
if you smother the spider.
he's one or two moves ahead, but the one or two moves ahead
Is the puck catching part?
never happen. They never happen.
Right. So yeah, not good.
But high glove is a concern.
It is major concern. So let me see.
Okay, can we just have a quick conversation? That's the book on every goalie in the NHL. I know Murray, it's been talked about more, but like, where is a lot of the heat maps for goalies? You know why a lot of goalies get beat high glove all the time? Because that's where guys are trying to go all the time.
No,
high glove,
he's weaker there though.
for
than other
sure,
guys.
no doubt.
Yeah.
He is. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but like a lot of guys are shooting for high gloves. If you look at a lot of
Yeah.
goalie stats, they probably aren't very good high
But
glove.
a lot of guys have not struggled like he has in the last 3 years.
So I looked at goalie pulls per team. I had Sportsnet stats pull that up, and I tweeted about it last night. The Leafs just joined the group of teams that has only done it once this season. So they did it once for injury. Shalgren went in for hurt Samsonov. This is the first goalie pull for performance, 42 games into the year or whatever. Some teams 8, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4. Like there's, you get the goalie out, give your team a boost, whatever. I couldn't believe after the third goal that this guy didn't get
so hard for him.
so resistant to pulling the goalie. By the way, only one team in the NHL this year has not pulled their goalie. It's a
Tampa
very
Bay.
Not Tampa Bay.
yes.
Really?
Not even one yank.
Not once?
Nope. Vasilevsky
Well,
just goes in
I
and
mean,
stops it.
you look at both their goalies. If Vasilevsky's in there, he just plays the whole game. And if Brian Elliott goes in,
They're like, we don't care if he gives
he's
up 12.
15, he's staying in the net.
I will say that Samsonov came in and he saved the game.
It's awesome. He didn't make a ton of saves, but all his
He made
saves
two big
were
ones.
like really clutch big saves.
So,
Like I said, they go up 5-2, it's over.
And so Sammy makes a couple of big saves. They get a win. Is there any momentum there? No, we're not yet, eh?
We've got Rick Bowness in the second hour. It'll be great to hear from him. I think a couple of losses, Sammy, coming in. They're going to be a little.
Tomorrow's going to be awesome. This is
They're going
Greece
to be a
week.
little miffed coming in.
This is Greece week, boys. The Bruins was a nasty one. Last night was a little bit weird. Then got the Jets coming in. It's always a nasty game.
Samsonov, start that one.
Absolutely.
There might be a second team here without a goalie pull. It might be Winnipeg. Can't find them on my list. Anyway.
Hellebuck's,
Okay.
yeah, he's been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
There's a few guys having career years in Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg defensive numbers for the team look better, like top 10 in the league too, not just the goaltending. You wonder if Paul Maurice is looking at the Jets going, this doesn't look good for me.
Is this Samsonov's small window based on the pull last night to get in there and maybe shut a door for the next little while? Would Winnipeg, would a sound effort lead him?
I'm afraid to say this because every time I'm like, if he has a good game tonight, then maybe he gets to. And then they like last night I was like, maybe if Murray goes tonight, maybe he goes against Thursday, and then he stinks to bed. So I don't know. I think if you're looking at the two goalies, Samsonov has nudged ahead a little bit, I guess. Right?
No.
I guess
They still want Murray to be the guy. Murray has the contract and the cachet.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's going to get the benefit of the doubt.
He is going to get the benefit of the doubt, but if you don't see a long stretch, there will always be that seed of doubt against your benefit of the doubt.
It's true. Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, they're just going to play the guy who's playing better. Time for more. You want to save these clips for the end of the show?
Oh, yeah. We're going to go to break here. We got Gord Stellick, plenty more on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And like we said, Rick Bowness, who has done a tremendous job for the Winnipeg Jets, will be joining us in the second hour. You are watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne.
From the City News 680 Traffic Center, I'm Carrie Prunskis. Northbound on the 400, just before Highway 88. The right lane is closed for a police investigation. Traffic is barely moving up the northbound 400 from approaching 5th Line to Highway 88. And on city streets, Bathurst is still closed in both directions north of Eglinton at Shalmar, and that's due to an earlier collision. Make the right call on your drive and the right call on your bets. Play on PointsBet. Download the PointsBet app. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Ontario only.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right, we're just waiting on Gord Stellick, the host of Leaf Nation pre- and post-game. Always fun having Stellictricity on the show.
He's almost like a third host, and depending on who you consider Sammy here.
Yeah, I always thought of an uncle.
Okay, I don't think that's offensive. I think that's complimentary.
Yes.
Uncle Gord.
How are you, pal?
How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Oh, you're a good little boy, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle
Nicky.
Gordy. Tell me a story, Uncle Gordy, about the Leafs getting a little grittier and tougher, standing up for each other a little bit more than maybe what we're accustomed to. Is that what we've seen in the last couple of games?
Yeah, well, like when your great grandfather used to take me to the old Conn Smythe games back then. When, if you can't beat him in the alley, you can't beat him on the ice. I think and I think you've been an advocate for it as well. I know some people right away will roll their eyes, but I've liked seeing Wayne Simmons in a couple of games of late. Just about that, that little X factor and what went on in Boston and that. And he kind of, when the guy went after Bunting and he kind of Greer did, and all of a sudden there's Wayne Simmons, and it shows that's still needed from time to time. But the other one, to your point. Yeah, and it seems like Michael Bunting's a guy that's really figured that out. That the best way for him to continue to have success and thrive is to buy into that role. So yeah, there's been a little bit more, and I like it.
It doesn't have to necessarily be fighting all the time, but it was nice to see. You're obviously not going to see it from everyone. Willie Nylander is a guy last night who makes a big difference without being involved in too much of the physical stuff. But nice to see that he's able to have success within that sort of hockey game.
Yeah, and you're 100% right, Justin, about it doesn't have to be fighting. I mean, it's different things, and I know. And again, this is this argument, discussion, whatever you want to talk about it, and whether you want to talk, let's use the word toughness. And one thing, it's interesting because Brendan Shanahan would be the perfect type of player to have still in 2023, just like he would have been in 2010 or whatever. But he maintains that toughness can be Patrick Kane or Mitch Marner just not being able to catch them, exhausting the other team by playing that kind of style. And that's a little bit how Willie Nylander can contribute as well. You can't expect a guy to do a 180 and be you want him to be what he is. And right now he's having his best goal scoring season so far with the Maple Leafs, and it's good to see after a so-so 2 periods that he could come up with the big goal. I mean, that was a big game. That was a real entertaining game, and Willie was a big part of it. And he seems to be having fewer and fewer of those streaks where you go, where the hell's Willie gone the last 3, 4, 5, 6 games? He hasn't had as many of those.
All in agreement. A fun game to watch last night. But earlier in the show, we were talking about perhaps another seed of doubt on the goaltending situation. Samsonov came in and did a nice cleanup job. But a couple of things I want to ask you. Number one is there a real concern for Matt Murray once again? And why does it appear that it's so hard for Sheldon Keefe to pull goalies?
It is a foreign concept, right? He's the opposite of your guy, Mike Keenan,
Captain Hook.
Who was the Captain Hook of coaches, and I think it was the first cup that the Hawks won, which was their second one with Corey Crawford. I remember there was all this kind of doubt about Corey Crawford throughout the playoffs and his glove hand or whatever, and it. I mean, he answered the critics, right? He gave them good enough goaltending, really good goaltending to win the Stanley Cup, and that's what Matt Murray's going to have to do as well. Because I don't know if you call them doubters or not, but certainly, and I know a lot was made, and Elliot was talking about a certain thing that's been picked up, but I'm sure the Leaf people pick it up too, and he can correct it technique-wise. I can't. I don't know the minutia well enough to weigh in on that or not. But yeah, I still. It is unproven goaltending. It is not Vasilevsky. It was not even Linus Ullmark right now. It's not a bunch of guys when you're talking. But like Colorado showed last year, whatever that good enough goaltending gets, if that's just what you want to get when you're in the playoffs and hope to get. And I got to say, I'm still pleased with what I've seen. I remain. I don't know if I was a skeptic. Skeptic's the right word, but yeah, I'm wondering, and we still need to see it bear fruit in the playoffs as well. So certainly last night wasn't a good night in that regard with Matt Murray. It was a concerning game, but I'm not at the concern state right now.
Hey, did we ever find out last night's telecast who's like texting Elliott on like the goalie he's leaning too much? Like, are we talking about Trek Jack here, or are we talking about his mailman?
Yeah, would it be Merrick? I don't know. Would it be? I don't know. Or his mailman? Yeah. Gosh.
Gord, it's 2-2 in the playoffs in a playoff series. Tampa Bay and Toronto. It's 2-2 in the game. It's the second period. What are the odds the 5-forward power play goes over the boards? Is this a real, serious, viable power play group that you expect to see in the big situations?
Well, I'm trying to, because, Sheldon Keefe gets a little testy about it and says, well, people, they score shorthanded goals against teams with just 1 or 2D, or the Leafs or any other team when they have 1 or 2D on a power play, which is true. So I'm trying to think that, like, I seem to be extra sensitive when I watch it. And I go, oh, okay, see, here's the perils of it. Here's the perils of it going the other way. As far as, I know a lot's being made about Mitch Marner can be a good two-way player, and they got some players that are good two-way players, but it's just a whole different animal, particularly if you're usually the one person back and it's a pretty speedy guy likely coming down on you. So I still prefer not. I would like to think, whether it's Morgan Riley or whomever, probably him, but I guess if it's based on merit, then you have a bit of a problem. If say you don't have a defenseman you can put out there, that's not a good thing. And okay, you're going to live and die with the 5D. That's up because you're going to die if you don't get by the first round of the playoffs. So that's up for Sheldon Keefe and others to decide. But I would prefer not.
Your turn.
Sorry, is it?
No, it's me.
All right.
I think it's me.
Yeah. Well, you bored, Kyper?
I don't know. I just.
What the hell?
You know what? I was just thinking if I had to bring anything home today after the show for my wife.
A rotisserie chicken.
All right, back to work. Hey, Morgan Riley. There were times when we saw him on the power play last night. Better for me, just in terms of, he did take a lot of heat in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, Gord, since he's been back, but looked a lot more comfortable last night, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm big on him. I'm really always been big on Morgan Riley. So I thought he did as well. Like I believe he can be the guy. And last couple of years you've never known, and certainly in his case, he had one season, that you knew about half the year he was battling some kind of injury, and when you're not playing 100%, as you guys would well know, that's a big problem to deal with. But yeah, I like the way they played. Like, he's not a Norris guy. And that's the thing. I mean, you don't have the stud defenseman like the Victor Hedman or the Cale Makar or that a lot of Stanley Cup teams have, but you can have what Washington had a little bit more by committee.
Gord, we had an interesting situation last night where Paul Maurice comes out after the game and says, that all that officiating, all those calls against my team, he said he told his team it wasn't about what was going on the ice, but about his relationship with that referee. We had a little discussion about it earlier. How common is it that a relationship with a coach and a referee will actually affect the calls being made on the ice?
Well, it's funny. The answer is, Justin, that I don't know, but let's put it in the perception is reality situation, right?
Right.
So maybe does it happen, or because I certainly know, like, you knew certain coaches and they go, oh crap, we got so-and-so. And it's like a lot of people in life, like the words are supposed to just, you're supposed to forget it, move on. But, some people, it sinks a little bit more and they hold grudges and they're pissed. And I am sure, just like baseball umpires with certain managers, I am sure that they're only human. And I think it can be a legitimate complaint at times. But even if it's not legitimate, your perception is that that's what's going on. So, and Paul Maurice has been around a long time, and I think he's a pretty measured, reasonable guy, that it's not, one of the ones that was toughest on the refs, but they all liked him, was Pat Quinn. Man, he never let up, chirping the whole time at the referees when on the ice. But I think that could be a part of it. But it's a dangerous. And again, I think he walked it okay. You've had a lot of guys coming in Toronto, saying some salvos. I mean, Sheldon Keefe gets fined $25,000, and other guys just throwing a little bit of a zinger out. Daryl Sutter did it as well, and being able to walk away with their pocketbook intact.
That's two guys that are historically are up there with the most wins in NHL history as head coaches here. A third one, people are going to start talking, are they not?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I agreed. It's just kind of, did they get cut more? But I also think they knew what not exactly to say, what the button is that all of a sudden, okay, gotcha. Like they just alluded enough is maybe the way it got interpreted. But it seems to be the place to do it, right?
Yeah.
Come in, you know what? Must mean the Leafs are good if they're talking conspiracy theory again.
Right. Well, and historically, I think the Leafs over the past 5 years or something, they're one of the least penalized teams in the NHL, but they also draw the least penalties. So I think, I don't know, I just can't imagine where that reputation would have come from, particularly that they're a pretty clean team, I think, by and large.
Yeah. No, it's and I mean, I just I remember running, there'd be a guy like Paul Stewart would talk about how much he loved reffing in Toronto or Montreal, right? I don't know if refs still feel that way. He even said he loved calling a penalty shot against the home team, right? He just it just got him going but I mean nowadays I'd be really, really surprised. The other part with the like us as fans anymore. We don't know the flamboyant Paul Stewart. We don't know 3-hour Merrill-Welling. We don't know Andy Van Helleman, the kind of game. But just because there's tandem, it doesn't really resonate. So they don't get the notoriety, good, bad from the fans. But certainly at that level, and something. And man, oh man, I obviously I'd be curious to find out more, and maybe at someday we will find out some more. Someone around Paul Maurice, you can find out why a certain grudge. But I got to tell you, I always like talking to coaches evaluating referees. You talk to whatever, just along the way. I always liked in general. I thought they would give, because they're down there in the trenches, about who they feel is a quality referee and who they feel is lacking.
We're talking to Gord Stellick, Leaf Nation pre and post game, former general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sheldon Keefe, Gord, insinuated that he pulled Matt Murray less about what was going on with him and maybe a little bit more on just getting a reaction out of his team. If he's true to that, then put him back in against Winnipeg on Thursday night.
Yeah, good point. What
do you think?
I'd be okay with it. I know. And part of it is because you guys have the ultimate hockey talk. People can talk hockey forever. I love doing it. I think sometimes, we can get into the minutia that, neither goaltenders establish that they're the guy and the other person, so it's a feeling out process that for the rest of the regular season, unless something changes. But I'd be okay putting him back in, especially if that's what he said. I thought he wasn't sharp. Okay. He wasn't sharp until he got that tip from Elliott that he was leaning wrong. I think he was sitting straight on the bench after. Did you notice that? He was sitting straight. So maybe that's all
I'm telling
worked
you,
out.
If it's true, on the next show, Elliott should be sitting in one of those couches on the side and then just bring his source on the panel.
Feel like, you're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know.
Any thoughts on Bobby McMahon sticking with the team? Kyper, I didn't ask you if you liked him last night. You like him?
Every time he goes in, every time he's along the walls, he just looks like a big body that's not afraid to get in. Gord, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, who was it years ago? Was it like Stuart Percy, right? I know. I mean, he was a defenseman. I know that. And he was a kid. But I remember he was one of the 3 stars a couple of times, and then he was gone, right? So, there's this initial thing that you hesitate to make go over the big proclamation. But I've liked him. I'm like you. I was so disappointed he didn't get that goal. I love that his dad got mobbed, and then it got and so he's I like those kind of stories, and I like what he's brought, and a little bit of that grit that you've talked about, and this is still it's still a feeling out process for 3rd and 4th line guys. I mean, it's not like a lot of them are making us jump through hoops with joy.
Well, what do you think, Kyper?
I'm done with him.
All right.
What?
Gordo.
Hey, me jumping through hoops probably did it. Yeah. Anyway, Kyper, do you have to pick up anything on the way home?
No, but you want to come over for some rotisserie chicken later on?
Well, some other time.
Okay.
We got. I'm involved in that Ballard documentary. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, then now we're not going to let you go because I'm very curious.
Tell me more.
Yeah, tell us about it. This is my era of growing up with Harold Ballard as the owner of my favorite team. This is can't miss television for me here, Gord. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, and again, it's done from, Jason Priestley and a producer named Michael Geddes, but their eyes. And, of course, they're the ones that tell the story. I got to tell you guys, they did a wonderful job. They dug up so much footage and, about and he knew that you couldn't toast or get the.
Did we lose him?
Did we lose him?
The ghost of Harold Ballard cut off his mic.
What happened? We lost Gord. And this is the only part I really cared about, the last 15 minutes, because I wasn't even paying attention to him, because my wife was sending me, a list.
Are we calling him back?
Yeah, I can call him.
Yeah, call him back.
Yeah.
Valor? Is that the name of the doc?
Ballard?
Valor?
I don't know.
Ballard? I don't know. Ballard's Valor?
He wouldn't last 5 seconds in today's world.
No.
With his views and his thoughts. Not 5 seconds.
Team of. I won't even get into it. Nothing I say can benefit me or the show. But yes, I'm very excited to, I came to Toronto 10 years ago and I have followed, the Leafs, they're everywhere. You kind of know what's going on. But I'm not up on the Ballard
has
era.
returned.
All right, we got Gordon.
Okay, Gord, you were at the part where you said that they had amazing footage of you getting Harold a coffee.
No, not quite that, Kip.
Okay.
He owned Maple Leaf. He was a largest shareholder of Maple Leaf Gardens Limited, so he owned the team by virtue of that. And for 18 years. It's a huge chunk of time. It's a very interesting story about a guy that it should have been the house that Smythe built forever, and that all changed and explains all that. And the one thing, so it's very, very entertaining. It also explains why the Leafs never won. And I worked there. He gave me a great opportunity working there, so I always appreciate that. And I always say, Kyper, did you ever meet him?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, did you not think he was a nice guy when you met him?
You know what? There was always that charitable side that he only brought out when he wanted to, but there was always something inside of him that was there, right?
Yeah. So I just meant, but usually people's first reaction would be, "Geez, what a nice guy," kind of thing. But he really did have that side. I don't think that side comes out enough. Like you can't make an argument about, I'll argue the teachers' pension fund were terrible owners, but people couldn't give a damn about that. I go, they were terrible. All they cared about was the bottom line, but they stayed away. You can't argue pro Harold Ballard owning the Maple Leafs, and I never try to make that argument. It's sort of like, which way do you want to get executed? Okay, it's neither's any good. But I'll tell you, there was never a dull day there. And you got guys like Darryl Sittler and Lanny McDonald and Wendell Clark and Gary Lehman and Ricky Vive and just a lot of people that were around then. It's a really neat story, and for people that are younger, it's a real neat story because if you're a sports fan, did you see the Al Davis one they had? Al Davis and Pete Rozelle, and I love those. I love whether George Steinbrenner era with the Yankees, Marge Schott with the Reds. I thank God we've moved on from that era in many, many ways, but the teams were still almost mom and pop variety stores back then compared to the big corporate conglomerates they are now. So Michael Geddes is the main producer and Jason Priestley then put it all together. I thought they did a really good job. I think people are really going to enjoy it.
So social cue aside, if he was an owner of an NHL team today, would he be at the bottom of a salary cap or at the very top?
We'd be at the bottom of the salary cap. We had a salary cap and there was no cap, so it would be, again, but you know what, but which doesn't get brought up, he lost a lot of money on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Like the CFL really owes this guy, and Don Crump, who was the treasurer, got to be commissioner because Ballard left them alone. They got in 4 Grey Cups, they won 1. So it's a very complex individual. He lived there, like his apartment was the office. What sports, who does that, right? So he was literally there 24/7. So it's just a very different era, and it was a very unique time, and it's a neat story.
What's it called, and when can we see it, and where?
It's on CBC this Sunday. I forget what it's called. Offside, it's called. It's called Offside, and it's on CBC this Sunday evening. I can't remember, 8 o'clock or something like that. Maybe that's when the big hands on the 12 and the little hands on the 8.
Hey, thanks, pal. One more. When he owned the Hamilton Tiger Cats, did the Leafs do a team picture with an actual tiger on the ice?
He brought a tiger on the ice once, and just before the Grey Cup.
And he says once, and it's like just once though.
And the handler was super pissed because he started hugging the tiger, and Tiger could have killed him. That's just kind of the way he went through stuff. And there was another Grey Cup, and they're playing the next day. You think about this, okay? The Ticats playing the Grey Cup, and the Leafs are playing Saturday. And he goes, "Hey, Gordy, can you come up with some things for the scoreboard? I want to piss the Argo fans off, right?" So, I quickly thought of them, and one I had was Ticat souvenirs available at all concession stands. Argo souvenirs, ? Call Acme Storage, 1-800. Anyway, so it got a big laugh, and then at the end, I put a prediction now, prediction: Hamilton 35, whoever, Edmonton 28, and then they won. And Dick Beddoes Monday goes, Harold Ballard's prediction was almost right on. I was just putting these down as But anyway, that's what I say. It's just always something. It taught you to think on your feet.
You're lucky I wasn't around when you took that team picture with the tiger. I would have hid a cheeseburger in your pocket.
Smashed McDouble.
Where are you going to get a cheeseburger at the Gardens? You would have got those old hot dogs.
Okay, we're going to look for it, Gordo. Thanks, man.
Okay, see you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Gord Stellick, former Toronto Maple Leaf general manager. And tiger tamer.
A lot of things were more entertaining back in the day, were they not? It wasn't better. This is not a claim it was better, but the weird billionaire owner era was entertaining.
Yes, but like I said, no social IQ whatsoever
really?
When it came to his beliefs, and just wouldn't last 5 seconds today.
No.
And there were parts of him when he was, from what I hear, really nasty.
Yeah.
And mean.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It just felt like for a long time, individuals ran teams in a certain way. I've heard, and no disrespect to a man that I like a lot in Cliff Fletcher, but I've heard that he would just yell out trades to the, hey, I can get whatever for so-and-so. You guys think I should do it? It's the guy in the mailroom's like, do it, and then now it's so private in big groups of people and
people
run
get
the numbers
fired now for leaking information.
Yeah,
right?
And it used to be just a kind of a guy making a decision. Now it's all by committee and vetted, and what are the analytics and what are the caps?
Pulling straws on a guy's future.
Yeah, you used to just
Ed
flip
Olchuk
a coin and I'll trade him.
Ed Olchuk has the best story, when he was traded while his wife was giving birth. To
really?
Yeah. I think we've shared that one already.
That's hilarious.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Are we out early here, Sammy, or are we good?
We got 2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes?
Well, we got 1 minute. Pontus Holmberg sent down to the minors today. Loaned to the Marlies.
Okay, is this just is this cap issues?
I think maybe conditioning stint. He was sick. I don't think it's cap issues.
Well, he's a minimum, right? He's B850 like everybody else.
He's waiver exempt. I'm sure it's like a go get a game in there or something. Come back ready.
Did
Kerfoot looks good in the fourth line.
McMahon kind of factor in that we can move Holmberg down now? He kind of just slid in as a big body type of guy. No, I'm not saying that he's. I'm just saying though it makes the decision easier that McMahon is now kind of, I don't know, played a little bit of a Holmberg kind of role.
I don't know how many guys in your roster you want to look at and say, as long as he just does his job, we're fine there. You want to get ahead. You want to be better than the other team's fourth line. But McMahon certainly strikes me as a guy like Holmberg where you don't fall behind. They can at least do their job. They're on the right side of the puck. You know, I don't know how many of those guys you want to have, but nice to have a guy or two that can plug a hole.
Oh, I think Holmberg's got a chance to be in the lineup game one.
Yeah,
in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I wouldn't rule out McMahon.
And maybe we'll get into this after bonus, but I thought Kerfoot looked good in the fourth line as the center too. So maybe they. But
you don't want that, right?
No. Well,
maybe not.
Maybe you do.
I just think you want Kerfoot playing wing. Wherever you want him in the lineup, you want him playing wing to me.
Okay, we'll pick up that conversation maybe after a discussion with the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. Rick Bowness will be joining us. Stick around for more Real Kyper and Bourne.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right, just waiting on Rick Bowness, head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. 29-15-1.
Yeah. Wow.
Boston, a surprise. Winnipeg, right up there for you?
Among biggest surprises of the year, the biggest, I think. How
bigger
good
than
they've been.
Boston's run.
Well, it's a fair point. Probably about the same. They're both very surprised.
Yeah, I am as surprised that Winnipeg's right there in the Central Division, the Western Conference, as I am Boston sitting here with 5 losses in 43 games.
For me, it's the defensive play of the Jets that's kind of caught my eye. And much like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like they seem to defend as a team pretty well. And that was something that had been a question mark for them, is being on the right side of the puck, having the forwards commit to being on the right side of the puck. And yeah, they've kept the puck out of their net this year.
Good thing or bad thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs? Winnipeg losing in Montreal last night, 4-1.
Getting a little bit motivated. Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know. The Jets have given up the fewest goals in the Central Division this year. That's a pretty good defensive division.
What's the first thought when you think of the Winnipeg Jets now? Is it the faces of the organization that are still there, like Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler?
You know, I think of high-end talent, and that can make a difference in a playoff series. Like, you get them in a series, you got all these guys that can score, and a goalie that's all-world. You know, anytime you go up against a team that can do that, if the rest of the guys can kind of keep it together, you like their chances. They can beat anyone. You know, the depth guys, I've liked Adam Lowry for the bulk of his career. I like Kevin Stenlund.
Is he not an ultimate third line centerman checking?
Is he the Leafs dream depth guy? You pick from the league.
Listen, put Lowry on any contending
Kipper's
team.
got Lowry, Garnett, Hathaway. We've got 2 pieces of your perfect third or fourth line right now. We just got to figure out who the
Tanev.
Tanev? Chris Tanev.
No.
Brandon Tanev.
Yeah. Leave Chris on defense.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think Calgary wants to give me
watch him playing fourth line wing.
Yeah. No.
Really?
Tanev, I think, is one of the best fourth line players in the league.
It's a good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I like about all those guys is energetic. They go get it, scrappy, good speed.
All right. Sammy, we finding Rick? Maybe Rick's.
Stand by here. Just give me 2 minutes.
No problem at all. Ask him if he's feeling okay after
Here,
a loss.
I'll ask you a question. Timothy Liljegren. So yesterday they go 5 forwards on the power play.
Yeah.
The next unit, the D-man is Connor Timmins, not Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
Not Timothy Liljegren.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like, why is Timmins getting of the only D-man to go over the boards on the power play? Timmins?
They think he's capable. They think that, again, part of his upside as a prospect all along was that this guy, it was believed that he could be a top 4 defenseman.
Right, but Liljegren too, right? Should he not get the reps in case? I don't think Timmins is going to be in the playoff lineup.
They probably think Timmins shoots the puck better.
I bet they do. But still, I don't think they think Timmins is going to be in the lineup. And they're.
I think they gotta focus on Morgan Riley going back there and gaining some. It's a confidence booster too when you play the power play. It is
keeping the routine, the easy minutes, a lot of touches.
Being out there on the number 1 unit on a team that's supposed to contend is like the ultimate confidence booster. No matter what's going on with your game, if a coach feels like you still should be on a number 1 power play, that's a shot in the arm.
You know what's a interesting thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs is all of their elite forward or all their elite pieces, they don't have a natural bumper guy. You know, it works with 5 forwards because Bunting, if Tavares can do that, then Bunting can be net front, or Bunting can be bumper and Tavares can be net front. They have one of those guys in Tavares. They don't have 2. Willie, Mitch, Austin, all flank guys.
Flanks. Yeah.
So you're asking one of them.
Yeah.
They've put Mitch in the middle. They've put Austin in the middle. Willie's tried it.
The one tendency I have with Morgan on the power play is he goes to Austin way too much for me, and it's really predictable.
You'd much rather him go to Austin less than half the time, so that they're sleeping on him a little. So Mitch can lull them to sleep, and you can see them and get him. Oh, yeah, he's over there.
It just seems forced to me.
You don't have Ovechkin handling the puck a ton as the flank guy. Everyone does their thing until it's time to get it to load up the cannon, you know?
Well, it's going to be a good challenge, I think, because Winnipeg comes in as one of those teams, and they got a handful up front. Mm-hmm. And if we look at Winnipeg, we see guys having career years.
Should we do some Jets lines here? Connor Dubois, Ehlers as the top line, just goal scorers everywhere. Like Perfetti, Scheifele, Wheeler as a second line.
And there was a lot of buzz in Montreal with Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Mm-hmm.
There.
He said the right things though yesterday. Do you hear him?
No.
He said that he'd be doing his teammates a disservice if he focused on anything other than this year.
Yeah. All right. So he didn't have a real estate agent with him looking for apartments.
I don't know about that. But
that's all I heard was the buzz in the building.
Yeah.
Players talking about what's Pierre-Luc Dubois going to do.
Guy's 50 points in 45 games, 20 goals.
He's a restricted free agent next year, which means that he's ARB eligible to sign a 1-year deal, and then in 2024 become an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah. 6'2", 205 pounds, 50 points in 45 games.
90-point pace.
Yeah. 24 years old.
What's that worth?
That's expensive.
What's that worth?
$9 million? Well, it looks like we're in agreement there. It's a lot of money, you know?
Yeah, it is. And I think Winnipeg would be happy to pay it if somehow, some way he changes his mind. But I went on Tim and Friends on last night, and everything. All right, let's pick up that conversation after. Let's go to Rick Bowness. And Rick, I was just asking JB if it's been a tremendous year so far. You're challenging in the Central and the West, but it is coming off a 4-1 loss. So are we in a good mood right now, or?
Never in a good mood after a game like last night. And it's really, sometimes it's not about the score. It's just about how you play. And it was, that's one of the worst games we played in a while. And I mentioned after the game, there's very few games this year after 45 games that we walked out of a rink and said, well, we certainly did not deserve to win that. But that was certainly the case last night. So the 4-1, we had some really good looks to tighten it up, but we did not deserve to win that game. Our play with and without the puck was very, very sloppy.
Just in terms of the things that have gone right so far, and obviously what didn't show up last night, but what are one or two things that have really stood out for you on what you've seen out of your team in the first 40-plus games?
Well, we went through all those injuries, and I gave and still do. I give the players that were stepped into those roles and accept not their usual role on the team, and what a great job they did. So we were very, very resilient through all of that. We've got some tremendous seasons individually so far. Obviously, with Connor Hellebuck in the net, he is elite goaltending that gives you a chance to win every night. Josh Morrissey has been a lot talked about his play. He's putting up the points, but he's also playing against the top end players every night. So he's been outstanding. Kyle Connor, he's going to score goals. The two-way play of JP Dubois has been outstanding for us. He's strong at both ends of the ice. He's putting up numbers offensively, obviously, but we can run him head-to-head against anybody in the league. So very pleased with that. Mark Scheifele, of course, as you know, with 26 goals, he can put the puck in the net. So we have gotten some big individual performances from the guys that you view as difference makers in the outcome of a game, but never to be forgotten are those guys that filled in those roles through all those injuries and did an outstanding job for us.
Rick, in the past, when the Winnipeg Jets have been a good defensive team, it has been largely on the back of Hellebuck. He's been fantastic, but I'm one of those nerds who looks at the numbers, and your team is very good defensively all around in terms of giving up, not as many chances as a group. That to me seems like a team buy-in thing. How do you convince a team that has always scored quite a bit to be on the right side of the puck and maybe not think about the offense first?
Well, one of the first calls I made when I got the job was to Connor Hellebuck, and I told him, listen, we're going to make your life a lot easier next year. We're going to do everything we can to tighten up the play in front of you. I know last year they gave up a ton of grade A's, and we've cut back on those a lot. I still think there's times where, even last night, we gave up a lot more than we normally do because we didn't do what we were supposed to do defensively in front of them. But we have cut down on the grade A's now. We're giving up a few too many shots on the outside for my liking, but a lot of that has to do with poor puck management. So that goes back to they just got so accustomed last year to going chance for chance. And, relying on Connor to make the difference in the game and capitalizing on the opportunities that they had. So a lot of this, the chances that they are getting, both on the rush and gaining access to our zone, are just really just poor puck management on our part. But we have made a concerted effort from training camp on to cut down on those grade A's in front of them and do a much better job of coming back and working from the inside out. Now, last night will show you that it's obviously still a work in progress. For the most part, it's been very, very good. When we've been bad like we were last night, then we're giving up those chances that they were giving up last year, which makes we're sleepless nights for coaches. But for the most part, we're very, very happy where we are. But again, last night shows you that we still are a work in progress, and we still have to do a better job to cut down those chances on a consistent night-to-night basis.
We're talking to Rick Bowness, head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. Not easy, even for a veteran like you, to come in and really replace a guy like Paul Maurice, who was very beloved in that community and amongst the players and had such longevity there. But maybe you can speak, Rick, a little bit too on how the dynamic has worked with yourself, Scott Arniel, Brad Lauer, Marty Johnston's there as well. My understanding, from what I gather and talking to maybe a few players, is that Scott can maybe focus maybe a little bit more on the X and O's, and you from 20,000 feet above can maybe manage a few personalities or, in the motivational. But how has it worked out overall, and that's really led to great success?
Well, the coaches that you mentioned, Scotty, Brad, Marty, and Wade Flaherty, that has been here for a long time. Just they do an outstanding job, and you let them do their thing. They're great coaches, and they're good communicators, which is a very important part of coaching in our league today. We knew we had a lot of work to do coming in, both on the specialty teams, which Scott runs, and the power play, which Brad and Marty run. So there was a lot of work to be done. There was also the culture that we had to change. So that takes a lot of work, and that does take a lot of one-on-one time. And again, it's a continual work in progress. So, it's worked. It's a great staff. I'm thrilled with the guys that came in to help me out here. And we do work very, very closely as a very tight-knit group, and we work very closely on all aspects of the game. And I certainly give them a lot of rein to do their thing because I have full trust in them.
Would the Jets or the Jets fans put any more stock into a game against the Leafs? Is it fair to call it a rivalry, even though it's not in division?
Well, again, I missed that Canadian division this season.
Right.
I was down in Dallas, and I think right now it's listen, they're tops, and they're near the top in their division and conference, and so are we. So it's really a battle of two very, very good teams. They played better than we did, obviously, last night. So it's going to be up to us to rebound and play the Winnipeg Jets style of hockey that's gotten us to this point this year. But tomorrow night should be a very entertaining hockey game. They can score, we can score, and I think both sides, the teams would like to tighten up that 4 goals against.
One of the players that I think got a new birth certificate, he's now named Norrisy, a defenseman for you. When we look at Josh Norrisy, we see a guy, at least here in Toronto, that we can kind of say, maybe he's in the Morgan Riley kind of place in terms of, very good defensemen, but we don't really first and foremost think of them as leading for a major award like a Norris Trophy. What has Josh Morrissey done in the first 45 games to completely take the perception of what type of defenseman he is to another level?
Well, again, when I got the job in July, Josh was one of my quick calls as well. I just remember coming in with Dallas into Winnipeg a few years ago and being very, very impressed with his play, his skating, his IQ, and his skills. So when I did get the job, I called him and kind of told him, listen, if we don't get you in the top 10 voting of that Norris Trophy, then I'm disappointed in me, first of all. And second of all, I'll be disappointed in you. So we got to work together here to unleash your talents because, again, he's an elite skater. He has a great hockey IQ, and he has elite skills. So you got to let him play. And we've kind of given him the green light to use those skills. He used the hockey IQ and certainly that skating ability. And he's up with the rush. He can lead the rush. And we have full confidence in him and defensively because, again, he does play against the top players in the league. So he's been everything and more that I remember. What I remember and what I'm seeing, he's everything and more of that.
Rick, you mentioned the calls you made when you first come in. Like managing those relationships is crucial. And one of the difficult things you had to do when you came in was obviously Blake Wheeler, no longer the captain of that team. How has your relationship evolved with him from the start of the season till now?
It's been fine from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't happy that we were doing that, but we all know all the turmoil that surrounded that team last year. So when you looked at it, you said, well, changes have to be made there. Well, that's right. We do. We have to change. We have to change the perception of the team. We have to change the culture of the team. And again, talking to all the players, it became very clear to me that they all wanted more of a voice in what was going on in the room. So we gave them that, and we took away the C, which was very tough to do. And Blake's been dealing with it like a real pro that he is from day one. Mm-hmm. He's still going to lead whether you were a C or an A. If you're a leader, you're a leader, and you're still going to do it your thing. As I told him when we had that initial discussion, I still expect him to be a big part of the leadership group, which he is. Now, so we did take a C. We did name a C for that particular reason. The players sounded like they wanted more of a voice and have 20 voices instead of 1 or 2 or 3. So that's what I gave them, and it's their room, and they're making the most of it. But Blake's been outstanding, and I have not had an issue with him. And everyone has a voice. We have 3 guys, and we're in the A's, and I do talk to them quite a bit. But Doobie and all these guys and Casey, they all have this voice and what's going on in that room. And that was very, very important that we had to address it and we had to change it. So as tough a call as it was the right call to make.
We all assume that your players will put Kevin Cheveldayoff in a position down the stretch to maybe add a few bodies possibly to really go for this. But as far as Nick Ehlers back in your lineup, it's almost like you traded for a guy. What's he done since he's been back to restructure your depth up front?
Well, he certainly helped the top 6, and he gives us a lot more speed and a lot more skill in playmaking, and he can score goals. But he's been impressive again, just with his speed and his ability. There's a lot of guys with great speed, but when they go to shoot the puck or make a play, they got to slow up a little bit. Well, Nick doesn't. He can make high-end plays at high-end speed, and he's got a great release, so he's a threat off of rush, and he's a great passer, and he's got good vision. So he's really improved our top 6. He's improved our speed up front, and he's certainly improved the skill level. So he's a weapon when he's on the ice. And he's another guy that I remember coaching against, thinking, wow, you better be well aware where he is on the ice because he can get that puck and he can turn it on and he can go and he's a threat every time he touches the puck.
Hey, Rick, we really appreciate the effort coming on our show today and really looking forward to the game tomorrow night. Best of luck.
All right. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Rick Bowness, head coach of Winnipeg Jets.
That was gracious time. Give us his time there. That was great.
Sorry about the mix-up, boys.
What mix-up?
Oh, just took a delayed getting on.
No, you're fine.
We got the chat about Liljegren in the power play.
That was an awesome answer about Wheeler.
Yeah.
Like I think it was just fascinating to hear him talk about that, and I'm sure he's talked about it in other places. But just to answer it so directly, like, yeah, it's fine. He wasn't happy, and we went forward.
Yeah.
He had a lot of clout under Paul Maurice. And sometimes some of his teammates thought it was just a little bit too much.
A direct extension of Maurice, probably.
Case in point, what Rick just said, less voices. And now a guy like Brendan Dillon, all of a sudden, he's become a pretty important guy in that room.
Yeah. And he mentioned Kyle Connor, too, who, you know, I still think of as a young guy, but he's probably 27 or something now. He's 26. Yeah, like he's been around a bit.
Can this team find a way to get to a Stanley Cup final?
Yes, they can. They absolutely can. Because you look at that side of hockey, you know, it's not like they couldn't handle any of the contenders, or at least give them a good run. So you add one or two guys, probably on the defensive side of things, shore things up a little bit, and you can handle Minnesota, you can handle Nashville, Dallas.
Can you guys let me salivate about a Jets-Leafs final?
Woo. Wouldn't that be fun?
You thought the rivalry was hot already.
Sportsnet.
Oh, my God.
Please.
The one thing I see on this lineup, their blue line's too small.
Interesting.
So let me have a look. Morrissey, DeMello, Dillon, Pionk, Heinola, Schmidt.
Yeah. No. Those guys are piñatas in the playoffs.
Not Dillon.
Never loved Schmidt.
No, Dillon's fine.
Yeah.
Dillon's fine. Absolutely. It's just.
You don't like Schmidt? I like Schmidt.
But 5'11", 6 feet.
Yeah.
Morrissey, 5'11". Yeah. DeMello, 6 feet. 5'11", 6 feet. Pionk, 5'11", 6 feet. Boys, big.
So Tampa's D.
Yet big. Another market talking about Gavrikov on their team.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Is it's like everyone wants giant good defenders.
Shen.
No
Shen
kidding.
is they're gonna get a first-round pick for Shen.
Oh my gosh.
They are.
Well, good on them if they can.
Every
the guy that cleared waivers about what,
you can
3 or 4
have Brock
times?
Besser if you want him, but
every single article you read is they're hot on Shen. Yeah. Elliott's talking about Tampa looking at it's like everyone wants Shen, and then when everybody wants somebody, usually
this is literally what we talked about yesterday. How there's such like a void.
Yeah, of
that type of player.
And then Shen comes in and plays 22 minutes a night like he does in Vancouver on a Stanley Cup team.
No, he plays 17.
Top 4.
Top 4. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, Sammy. He's 5'6". He's your third pair.
Okay.
But that's not a first rounder, buddy.
I'm just saying. I don't think it's outside
don't
of the
get
realm.
so excited.
You don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to get a first for him?
I'd be shocked.
Second?
Yeah, I can see that.
Third?
Yeah. So before we came on today, who were we talking about that I was asking you about a pick? Oh, Puljujärvi out of Edmonton. So he was healthy scratch last night to make way for Evander Kane. Guy was, a top 5 pick for them, scored 25 goals one year, defensive specialist, huge, yada, yada. And I said, what do you think it take to get Puljujärvi out of there? Third? Kipper's like, fourth. What? Think? And he even gave me a 5 maybe. It's like, well, Puljujärvi makes $3 million.
You going to give up a second rounder for him?
No, thank you.
I will give them a second if they'll eat 1.5 of that.
How many goals do you have this year?
I don't know if you have to by then.
Maybe.
And he balances out Engvall. Is he the right side of Engvall?
Oh, my God. I can't go into a playoff series with that.
With Engvall and Puljujärvi?
No, thank you.
2 giants who just
they're like twins.
Anyone.
It's the great promise line that drives you absolutely bananas. I don't know if you saw this. This is interesting last night.
I'd want him for the Leafs for a full season. Anyway.
You like him?
I like him. I like Puljujärvi.
He was like ranked top 4.
He just feels like one of those Nichushkin guys. He's not going to be Nichushkin, but that you just needs to get unlocked. He's like an iPhone that you found. You just need to take him to a weird store in the certain district of town.
Last night, Ian McLaren, who covers the Bruins,
my boy,
sent out a tweet saying, with some hypothetical lines, Marchand, Bergeron, DeBrusque, Zacha, Krejci, Pasternak, Hall, Coyle, Puljujärvi. He put that out on Twitter.
Yeah.
And Brad Marchand responded to him with a whisper emoji.
Like a hum.
I wonder if that's a shut up emoji, as in like we don't want that, or if that's
yes, you got it. Or it's a don't say that out loud. Maybe it's happening. Marchand is the ultimate troll on and off the ice.
That is trolly behavior.
Just gets like you can interpret that.
I think that's a
100
we've
different
had
ways.
enough out of you. We're doing pretty good without your little suggestion. Probably, I don't know.
Like
Puljujärvi is a big analytics. Like, although it's not this year, his numbers aren't as good, but he was a darling, and they're having trouble letting go of. He's been quite bad for Edmonton this year.
Somehow,
quite bad.
Here's the thing, though. Like with the Boston Bruins, is that we aren't talking about a team that's lost half a dozen games.
Like, why are you adding? Is that your point?
Like, no. Why are you messing?
Right.
Yeah. Don't touch anything.
Right.
Like, if he the world's best chili. Like, what should we add to this chili? Leave it.
That can't play in a lineup that is fighting for a playoff spot.
Bingo. I also noticed on Brad Marchand's tweets and replies, Sid Sixero on December 9th tweeted about Sean Dursey getting booed and his he said got booed at Scotiabank Arena worse than Brad Marchand ever was. And somehow I missed this completely. Marchand responded to that tweet saying, "That's because I'm a rocket." Which means he's good looking.
Yes.
In case that's too young of a term for you, Kyper. How did I miss that? Anyways, that's an aside.
I don't know.
And that's a lineup that still needs Jake DeBrusk back in it.
They're good.
So
they're good.
Stacked.
Just need the Capitals to beat them up for a round soften them up for the Leafs.
I don't know if they're going to add. Like everybody's saying, Bo Horvat.
But they got room,
right? And like
they'll do something.
You think they'll go as bold as Bo Horvat?
I do.
Oh,
right. They're close. This is a cup year. If you can get better hockey players than you have, don't overthink it.
And then what do you do with Charlie Coyle?
Well, he's your fourth line center now. Congrats.
What's he make? 5?
Lots.
5.5?
Lots of million. Yeah. Does he know that much?
Sammy?
Get on the friendliest of caps. I don't care, like I don't care what they make they play. Just you want the best lineup. You want the best lineup.
No, now you're putting a all-star team together.
He makes $5.25 million until
5.25 to play on the fourth line.
And then with him and they're making $9 million a year on their fourth line with him and Foligno.
Pretty good fourth line. What do we care?
I don't care
how they allocate their money if they're awesome.
I don't care about talking about money. It's just
speaking of the Oilers, Vander Kane comes in with 17 minutes. Hyman gets 3 points. Jack Campbell, don't look now. 4 straight wins.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just want to talk about Zach Hyman.
I know. What's going on there?
You want to what?
Talk about Zach Hyman because there's a lot of people in this market, myself not included, that are like, oh well, it's just a cap casualty. You just have to let him go. It is what it is. You can't pay him that. And I was always kind of like, you can't. And then they did it, and now he's 50 points in 45 games. It's like maybe you should have kept him.
50 points.
He's making $5 million, and he's a stud on the penalty kill. He's a beast, like down low, physical guy. Maybe you should have paid him.
Yeah, just move on.
No, I will not move on.
They did. Where is that in league scoring? Zach Hyman is currently
that's going
17th, tied with Nylander.
At what, 5.25? Is that what the final number was?
Actually, he's one ahead of Matthews.
If the Leafs got to him early enough that you don't get that market value, maybe there was a chance you could have had him for 4.5 or 4.75.
Let me just tell you, the pack of people he is around in the league leading point getters is hilarious. He is surrounded by Ovi, Pettersson, Nylander, Matthews, Crosby, Dubois, Stamkos. He's right in the middle of those guys.
And he
Zach Hyman.
Talk about some value. Him and Willie in that group.
Yeah.
I don't know. Zach Hyman was this absolute beast for the Leafs. He wasn't producing like this for the Leafs, but I always thought they should have tried to find a way to keep him. Anyways.
20 minutes and 40 seconds per game for Zach Hyman.
So now the Oilers are getting hot.
They're getting hot. They're fairly deep up front. They need defense guys, and they're just going to have to find a way to find a game changer here, either Chychrun, Carlson, they need to hit a home run here on the back end. And I'm not saying even like Carlson would be enough. They'd have to go and get Joel Edmondson too.
Is Ken Holland going to be willing to get that aggressive?
He's done after next year. Come on.
Think he'll retire?
Well, if they don't go deep, they're not going to give him a new
He'll
contract.
get retired, yeah.
But
Forced retirement.
he has to go for it.
Fired?
Has to.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely they do. I got to see what picks they have for trading. But yes, right now their back end is Nurse, Cece, Kulak, Barry, Broberg, Bouchard.
Yeah, not too many worlds where you see Cody Cece one or
1D, yeah. No, not ideal. While we're going around Canada, Juraj Slavkovsky out for 3 months for the Montreal Canadiens with, I believe, a knee injury. That's bad, eh?
Yeah. Well, listen, you made the commitment to keep him all year. You didn't shuffle him down in the American Hockey League. This is a big 3 months that he could have just grabbed some more valuable experience. It's a big blow to his development.
It's weird to play him in this year to me.
Yeah, I can see how they could look at him and go, all right, we can see an NHL player who's first overall. We can see how he could get by. But he looks like a guy I would have liked to have the puck a lot and play the flank on the power play and get the touches in the big minutes. And it's so easy in hindsight.
Not if he's not ready. You don't.
No, I mean that in junior. I would have liked to have seen him,
I'm sorry.
Like be the guy somewhere else.
Yeah. There's something to be said about, again, this is ego.
Yeah.
First pick overalls aren't supposed to go work on those things in junior or the American Hockey League.
But why
They're
not? Maybe they should.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's still, no, we can do that here. That's, I mean, are you convinced that this guy's going to be does he have to be a star? Is he just going to be a very serviceable player?
He has to be a star.
Has to be a star.
Has to be a star. Has to be. First overall pick. Montreal Canadiens.
No pressure in that market.
Yeah.
Don't be patient with him. Let him come along.
Suzuki. He played 35 games this year and got run over 24 times.
Chris Kreider from the New York Rangers a star?
Hold on, now we're defining our second tier. We've done superstars.
To me,
that's your guy.
That's how I look at him.
No,
and go,
I would like him to. Well, Kreider did get 50 last year, so I guess
I look at him and Chris Kreider at times can dominate. Like that guy. There's some nights you watch him skate down the ice and you're like,
how is he not the best in the world?
Like, am I watching like my version of Kevin Stevens for
Eric Lindros
Pittsburgh
or something? Yeah.
Penguins? Like, but there's always been a consistency issue with Chris Kreider.
Yeah, last year was obviously an anomaly for his career.
Slavkovsky is a guy that is big, strong, should be able to drive to the net, much like Chris Kreider. But I don't know. Is he going to be
looks
better,
like he's
more
got that
consistent?
Engvall power and that Engvall size and the Engvall build and Engvall hands. And wait a second.
You had me until you said Engvall.
He looks exactly like Engvall.
He's the exact same
The way
style.
he skates, the way he looks, he looks like Engvall.
Yeah.
Do you think it's interesting that Rick Tockett's on TNT tonight?
He works for them. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I was told he works for the Vancouver Canucks. They're just waiting to implement him.
Are you going to talk about it on there? Like, is it the massive element of the room?
Just ask Jimmy Rutherford. Is he not told the whole world already? He's talking to other guys for Bruce Boudreau's job.
What could Tocchet say on the air tonight? Be like, yeah, I'm just waiting for him to fire Bruce. Like, he'll say, I'm not allowed to talk about it, and they'll move on.
Are we sure he wants to go?
If you were if you were choosing a place to be a head coach, there's two thoughts in this for me. 32 teams. There's not that many spots to become a head coach in the National Hockey League. Vancouver has to be near the bottom of where you'd want to go. Bottom 5 for sure for me. Because they are the only team in the NHL 10 points from a playoff spot and 10 points better than last place in the league. So
mushy
middle. No bright future. You know, you become a guy like, and I mean this respectfully, like Dallas Eakins, where if you coach enough teams and those teams are bad, you just aren't going to get more opportunities. And now Rick Talk has been with Arizona. And if you go stink in Vancouver for 4 years, Then what? Become an assistant coach for 10 years to get another chance?
Be happy with your $15 million.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good point.
Because that's what I think it would take for Rick Tocchet. Probably makes an easy mill with TNT.
That's kind of what I would think.
I mean, nobody bothers me. I come and go as I please. Now I go into that hornet's nest.
Yeah.
3 minimum for me.
Yeah.
Times 5.
Coaches pushing for long term is always smart. And right now the Canucks look like they got to commit to someone for a long term.
Any news on Vancouver Canucks internal investigation on, I don't know, what happened to Tanner Pearson?
This was a headline on the NHL.com. Canucks say nothing wrong with the surgery on Tanner Pearson.
Now, was that the same investigative company that the Chicago Blackhawks used?
Yeah, maybe. Honestly.
Isn't that great now? You could just have your own internal investigation.
I looked into me, and I'm good. I did a little self-investigation.
And I asked myself some pretty tough questions.
I was hard on me.
Oh, no,
I picked through everything, but in the end, turns out I'm okay.
The ultimate look in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that's what's going on in Vancouver.
They got the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, so
good luck.
Should be fine.
Among players that interest me for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Adam Henrique. Any interest from you guys for Anaheim when he's on the ice? They've outscored their opposition. When he's not on the ice, they're outscored 100-40. So they're much, much, much better when he's on the ice.
I like him.
Yeah. Be a nice ad, wouldn't he?
Local guy.
I'm just out here searching for Leafs, guys.
He's in California.
Yeah.
He's not one.
I think that was Dmitry Filipovich who mentioned that trade. He's the only
Buy that for $1.
He is somehow only -2 on a team that has a -85 goal differential.
They're not -85.
They are -85.
So,
how many teams in the league right now
32
who just have are out? No chance. I bet you there's a dozen right now.
Yeah, this whole parity thing, they're still managing to be a lot of teams that are bye-bye.
Like
Philly, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal, Columbus, Buffalo, you can even throw in there. They're still in the conversation.
Ottawa.
What the Sens? The Sens are getting Norris back?
Vancouver, San Jose, Arizona, Anaheim, Chicago. All done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 teams completely out of it.
9.
Yeah.
And
Ottawa's not done.
9 out, and the Leafs know who they're playing in the playoffs.
Sick. What are we going to talk about for the next 3 months?
We're going to sell the show, Kyper.
All right. Sorry. But there's always us for 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
When you're incredibly bored.
Gotcha.
Okay, our thanks to Gord Stellick and the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, Rick Bowness.
Really good interview.
Really good.
By us. I'm kidding, Rick.
You guys crushed it.
I'm kidding.
Hey, thanks for always joining us on our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. We haven't asked for a thumbs up in a while.
We haven't.
And a
subscribe.
rating and a review.
Yes.
On Spotify, iTunes.
Be nice.
Okay. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy it. And we're back tomorrow.